Hello and welcome to the Weird Around Illinois podcast. Today we're going to talk about something that came up in one of our previous podcasts. And it was one of those situations where either I'm too old or my co-hosts are not worldly enough. I don't know which it is. Because I mentioned the Men in Black. And somebody said, "You mean like in the movie?" And so I found myself just kind of taken aback for a moment and said, how can you not know who the Men in Black are? That's what I'm thinking in my mind, because I grew up with this image of these government agents, these scary guys in black suits who just show up after somebody sees a alien or a Bigfoot or whatever, and they threaten to put people in jail forever if they ever talk about what they saw. If I were a government conspiracy theorist, and maybe I am to a certain degree, I would find myself saying, wow, what a great job they did of taking this terrifying concept and turning it into a joke with one movie. And now nobody worries about the Men in Black anymore because of this one film, or this one series of films. But let's talk about the real Men in Black here. The films are great, but the real Men in Black, the first exposure I had to them was I attended a lecture from someone who had been investigating the Roswell, New Mexico UFO crash. And after that crash, after the Army, gave the true story, or apparently true story, about an alien crash, and it was in all the newspapers, and everybody was sure that this was an alien crash, these guys in black suits showed up, and suddenly it was a weather balloon. And suddenly nobody was talking anymore, and if they did, they were just saying it was a weather balloon.
Wow. They covered that up fast, didn't they?
Yeah.
Huh.
And the story about the Men in Black, it's they don't carry badges, they don't have any name tags or insignias or anything like that, but supposedly when they show up on the scene, everybody there, from the witnesses right on up to the highest ranking police and military officials, know that those guys are in charge. I know when we watched Expedition Bigfoot, there was kind of a vague reference to the Men in Black, the black helicopters that kept showing up. What were there, like 2 or 3 helicopters they saw during that?
Yeah, there were like 3, I think.
Yeah, and they were acting like that was a fairly common thing when they were looking for Bigfoot, or when people were looking for Bigfoot. That's why I kind of expand the Men in Black concept beyond just UFOs to Bigfoot. And also to Mothman. Apparently after the Mothman sightings at Point Pleasant, there were a lot of people who claimed to have been visited by the Men in Black and told, don't talk about this.
I haven't heard much about the Men in Black. I have a feeling this is probably a big thing with Dogman, too. A lot of people say that the government is covering those up.
Mm-hmm.
There have been talks about possible, like, government officials, government military that are, like, in charge.
Right.
Stop everyone talking about.
Yeah.
I wonder if that is something.
That leads to the question, like, what can just these kind of cryptids like Bigfoot or Dogman, can these sightings really bring the attention to the Men in Black that easily?
That's a very important question, because if we keep looking, sooner or later we're going to find something.
Yeah.
And how long is it going to be before we get a knock on our door saying, hey, I listened to your podcast, shut up?
Yeah.
But, there are people who apparently see a lot more than we do out there who still have their podcasts up. So they're either braver than we are, or or the Men in Black have not bothered them. But, yeah, the Men in Black, you don't want to meet them. At least based on everything I've heard, they're not necessarily nice people. They're not the friendly neighborhood police officer who, comes over and says, oh, by the way, your tail light's out, but just get it fixed and you won't get a ticket. Or, the military guy who comes by and he's there to protect you and everything's great. These guys are really sinister. Now that some of the people involved in some of those early UFO incidents, the Roswell crash and some of the stuff that happened in Ohio after that, and some of those other sightings, are getting older. They don't have as much to lose. And so these people who've been supposedly silenced by the Men in Black for decades are now on their deathbed making these confessions and saying, yes, I saw this thing, this is what I saw. These guys from the Men in Black told me not to say anything, but I'm saying it now because they can't do anything to me. I'm supposed to die in 2 weeks anyway. That happened with a couple of military people involved in the Roswell crash. It's happened with a few other, high-ranking government officials. It's really getting interesting as time goes on, and more people are getting comfortable coming out and talking about these. If any of you have had encounters with the Men in Black and you feel comfortable talking about it, by all means, let us know. We'd love to hear your stories. If you are a Man in Black, just forget you ever heard this podcast and don't bother to listen to us. Thanks for listening, and thanks for subscribing, and please tell your friends.